Electricast.
Running a small business means I wear lots of hats. When I put on my hiring hat, I can count on LinkedIn Hiring Pro to make it easy. LinkedIn Hiring Pro helps manage my hiring workflow, puts my job post in front of a unique network of professionals, and matches me with the best candidates for my business. I can also share my job with my network. No other job site lets me do that. No wonder most small businesses say they'd use LinkedIn Hiring Pro again. Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
What Happens Interview Style? We talk about movies or whatever. I wanted to start another podcast called At Home Executive. So this interview style is the first episode of Wesley, the At Home Executive. Did you hear that Supergirl miserably flopped?
It came up against some kryptonite.
Yeah, they said the glass ceiling was kryptonite. I think Deadline said that. Anyway, it's set to lose $130 million, and that's unfortunate. This has nothing to do with your boy James Gunn and Peter, what's his name, Safran? What is his name?
Yeah, Safran.
Superman, once they took over the DC EU, was a modest. It was fine. It made some money, but unfortunately, the hard landing of Supergirl kind of eradicates any of those profits. And I don't know what this means for the future of James Gunn as head of the DC EU. Unfortunately, Masters of the Universe also flopped, and that one I could way see coming because I was the perfect market, the target demo for that movie. As a kid in the 80s, I was enraptured by Masters of the Universe. I watched the cartoon, I collected all the figurines, I created fantasy scenarios. In my mind, I was a fantasy Masters of the Universe fan. And now I'm 50. And I saw the trailer and dumb-faced Nick Galitzine, and I was like, who is this movie for? Because it's supposed to be for me, and I have zero interest. And I could have told them, Masters of the Universe, I get that it's a property. You consider it a hot property, Mattel, but you're not. I'm physically restraining you from spending $170 million on that movie. Because this should be for me, and it's so not. I could be I could save hundreds of millions of dollars in my first week if I had the big green button on my desk that says Greenlight or Go, and I could not press it for some of these people who come into my office with ridiculous, expensive ideas. To prove my point, I'm going to say right now that unfortunately Street Fighter, which I was also perfectly positioned for, it's going to bomb. I'm very sorry. It seems like your boy Jason Momoa is not going to have a good year. He's Blanca, the animalistic, snarling fighter that represents Brazil. Of all the characters in Street Fighter, he's the only non-human one representing Brazil. It's going to crash and burn. I would be an excellent money-saving movie executive. I wouldn't even require the millions of dollars or the power that Harvey Weinstein abused to do these kinds of things. Where do you see the flaw, if any, in my logic?
Wes, as the at-home exec, is curious to me because it is a direct contradiction to previous episodes and interview styles where you've expressed sentiments of feeling out of touch with the overall movie-going populace. How do you reconcile this contradiction?
I think Leonardo DiCaprio said it best in The Wolf of Wall Street when he was hustling the dude on the phone. I ask people to judge me not on my wins, but on my losses, because I have so few of them. When a movie hits and I'm like, where did that come from? Typically those are smaller art house movies. But if you came to me and said, I need $170 million because Supergirl, I would be like, let's see how Superman does first, and then we can use some of those resources to retool for Supergirl, but having it in the can and already shot before Superman is released seems like a risk. Let's sit on it for half a second and maybe throw half the money at it.
All right, so let's say you do have a pretty good populist idea of what's going to hit and what's going to miss.
For big movies.
Let's just assume that to be true for big movies. Maybe part of the flaw is the role at home executive with the big green button? Why not be, test audience, focus group participant / or leader?
I think it requires smart water and croissants and stuff and herding people and corralling people with a clipboard and stuff. I'm more like a behind a big desk, or I'm watching movies on my little monitors or whatever. Like, come to me, sell me. I'm the oracle or whatever who can predict your future. I don't want to put effort into it. That's for PAs.
Because you've worked so hard to earn that big desk and those little monitors.
I've watched a lot of movies, big and small, and I'm recognizing the trends.
You asked me to find flaws in logic. You don't like watching small movies.
I don't?
Not if they're not quote-unquote good.
I'm way more wary. You were like, we're not covering Supergirl because we did, and I don't want to wade into the fray and stab it one more time. I'm not Brutus.
That's a Caesar reference?
Yeah, I don't need to dogpile. Supergirl is going down. I don't need to add insult to injury because it's sad, and I think I could have helped. It's not like a see I told you so kind of thing. It's just, hey, practically speaking, to preserve your position and to encourage longevity, maybe hang on a second, James Gunn.
So Wes took James Gunn and Peter Safran's whole philosophy is don't greenlight a movie until it's ready, i.e. until it's good. So what happened here? I'd be curious to know. Brian took a me day, a personal day, this past Sunday, and he went to go see Supergirl. And he said that he enjoyed it.
Like I did with Jackass, best and last. First day, first screening. All by myself, alone in the theater.
Although I would love to see Jackass.
Okay. It cost $10 million. It's opening third under Supergirl and Toy Story 5, but it only needs to make 20 or 30, so it's definitely going to make money. And about 40% of it is recycled bits from the show and the previous movies. That's how you do it. Know your place in the world and know that if your fan base is aging or dwindling, who are the fans of Supergirl? I'm just saying, Johnny Knoxville and the Dirtbag crew know how to do it, at least.
They got their shtick. They got to cash in.
I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be super grand, super fast. But if you have $100 million and you're considering investing in a project, rather than lose all of it and your shirt and your investor shirts on top of it, give me a couple of those millions and I'll save you the rest of the balance. I'm here to help. Thanks for playing. Okay, love you. Bye.
Electric acid.